Okay, so I'm gonna have to start introducing some of the characters' names here. So right now, remember we're in the village on the west coast, south of the desert, and there's this thunderstorm that's still kind of coming in and out, and there's a guy telling a story to the villagers, and his name's Jake, and Jake is the older brother of John, and John and his friend Lee are the three people who came back with Joe. So the four scouts originally, who I never gave them names, but I'm getting their names now. And the crazy Joe got lost to the Gator people. Is probably still alive. They had some prayers here at the beginning of the story to for their lost companion. And then Jake's the main guy telling the story, and then his younger brother John and their friend Lee. And so now, but now Lee comes in. He says, "All right, so something happened to me that was very special after the whole business meeting, and we found out everything that with the sea goat and everything. And at later in the night, they start getting to know the people from up north, and the people from up north are saying, we've got this desert of protection and separation between the north and the south, and because of that, we're able to have different habitats, different climates for different kinds of creatures, just like your plateau down here, maintains it so that you all got your buffalo herds and your bison and your cows and your bulls are all over there on the west side of your continent. Then the on the other side of the continent is that then you've got this richer sea life where they don't have bulls on the east side. Instead, they've got the richer sea life, and it's more of a reef environment there, and less of a sort of a plains and forests sort of stuff. And so the people from up north are telling them, look, we've got way more advanced technology than you guys do down here, and we got different understandings of languages with other areas of the world and the sky, and you guys have your special thing that you do here with your herds. And with your crabs and your jaguar people and your plateau and everything, we don't have a lot of cats up north. We got a ton of deer. So what we're interested in is if we can form a partnership between north and south, and if we can maybe start introducing to our culture some of your cats. Your cats seem like they got no problem with the scorpions. In fact, they've been protecting the jaguars have been keeping the scorpions from taking a blame for a long time, and they honored the scorpion. They said, look, nothing against the scorpion, but it really was them who took out the last deer. So just make sure that none of them come down here. But so the people, rather than the people talking directly to the jaguars, because the jaguars he just wants to go home. He's just like, this is an amazing thing, but I don't want to talk to these people much longer. I'd had a long night, douchebagging it out with this dickhead, this goat king again, and here's this thunderstorm again. So Lee's telling the story now, and he's telling about how he got offered the opportunity to go north and to go with the northerners up there for business meetings with them, to get some negotiations for how to get the deer back down here to the plateau, and maybe get some cats up north too, because they're interested in cats, and the cats got no problem with the scorpion. Apparently up north, it's mostly human people up there, and the scorpion people and the deer people, and the deer people are really having the day, because there's no big cats around, right? And the wolves are extremely domesticated up there. The wolves are, and so the deer have kind of caused a lot of pollution up north, really, because they hang out all the water holes, and now the salmon aren't happy because, well, there's deer poop all over the water holes because the wolves aren't keeping them out of the water holes, and there's no tigers, there's no the jaguar, there's no puma, there's nothing up there to keep the numbers down on the deer. So they're getting overrun by deer. The scorpion people are like not up there. They're bigger scorpion people than they used to have down south. And there's a story about what happened to the scorpion people after the deer. It was a whole insect war. We won't get into that. And that's why there's no scorpions down south anymore. But Scorpion people up north, man, they don't even care about their deer. They're like, whatever, deer, you know. The Scorpion people up north are more interested in the humans and in learning the humans' ways, becoming more highly evolved and technologically savvy. And so they have a partnership with as protection force for the humans and for this kind of thing. But the humans are not very good at getting the Scorpion people to just, you know, kind of clean up the overgrowth of the deer in the region. And the Scorpion people are just like, deer, they're no fun. You know, the deer are like a joke to the Scorpions. You know, the Scorpions are more interested in having a showdown with a big mama crab. You know, and then they both walk away alive, but at least they got a good fight, and the Scorpion could go home and be like, yeah, you know, I got my ass licked by a crab, and, you know, that was on me, you know. You can't do much with a stinger on a crab because crab's got protection on it, but at least I whipped it a few times, but boy, that crab got on me, and that was not, you know. And so they have this competitive spirit, these Scorpions do. And the humans like that, and so there's sort of this culture, these three groups of people up north. And what the Northerners are telling John and his older brother Jake, and also Lee, who's now telling the story, he's saying, you know, we'd like to get one of you to come up here, and we want you, Lee, because you seem to have a better sense of the cats. In fact, you're the one who has been able to, you know, speak more for your people than anyone here, with both the cats and with us. And, you know, I know the Sea King's not really wanting to talk to you. He thinks he's above everybody, but, you know, we recognize that you're a good communicator, so we want to see if we can have you come up with us and help work out how we're going to get this situation to make sure we get a deer down here. You can make sure it's clean so that your forest doesn't get contaminated with, you know, baby scorpions or anything weird like that, you know. And so Lee's like, he's like, I love the prospects of it, but I knew that I had to come home. I knew that I had to come home to my family, at least tell them that I'm safe. And so but the Northerners said, well, we thought, you know, we know how to deal with this kind of thing. And what we can do, a lot of people don't like to do this because they don't like having, you know, a twin of them running around somewhere in the world. But we actually have the ability to make, you know, a copy of you, like a doppelganger. Like not a clone, but, you know, just a copy of you, how you are. They said, you know, they take them into their spaceship, and they're like, you know, they're eating pizza and they're smoking, and they're like, yeah, all right, dude, you're gonna make a copy of me that's like just like me through your machine here. That sounds really cool. I will do that. I will let you have a copy of me to take up to do the business negotiations while I go see my family. That sounds like a win-win-win and a lot of fun for me. So Lee's like, cool. All right. So they make a copy of Lee, and they go up, and the people are listening to Lee, and like it's a controversy in the village. They're like, Lee, how could you do this? You know, his mom is upset. His mom's like, I raised you. I did not raise two kids who are, you know, now one of them and I've got two of you running around, and I don't know which one's going to be you. What happens when one of them comes back home to me, and I'm an old woman, and, you know, I don't know which one it is, and, you know, who knows what, you're going to have an evil twin running around, Lee. Why? How could you have done this? And Lee's like, I didn't think it's going to be an evil twin. Why are you saying this? You know? And Lee's like, I had fun. I had a talk with myself right there in the flesh. Imagine that. You've never had that experience. You know? And his dad's like trying to calm his mom down. You know, it's going to be okay and this kind of thing. And there's a big family conflict, and the people are just stunned. They see all this. And so Lee and Jake and John are like, oh, man. Whew, that was a journey, and now Lee's taking heat for this because he made a copy of himself. Oh no! But, you know, we'll have to see what plays out of it. And so, you know, Lee and John and Jake are sitting there, and they're like, all right. Jake's like, you know what, guys? We still haven't seen Unisari. Where is she? You know, we thought we were gonna hang out with her too, and, you know, maybe we can find her and get our minds off this whole business about people getting upset about the doppelganger Lee. And so they start wandering up north. They're wandering up north, and sure enough, there's the rainbow jaguar. They barely even leave, and they're like, oh, there's the rainbow jaguar, and the rainbow jaguar sees them and says, you three, come on. We gotta go find Unisari. And they're like, whoa, okay, well, I guess we do. What's going on? He's like, yeah, I've been sitting there watching you guys tell the whole story. It's good that you informed your people, but now we've got business to do. We got to take care of this forest. You got your 2 rams there, and by the way, the 2 rams follow. Of course, the 2 rams follow the 3 people. And the rams don't say much, but they can hear and they can understand most of what all of the humans are talking about, but they're totally new to this world, so they really have nothing to say. And through this whole process, the 2 rams who are left behind, they're with them, because one of them got chased into the mountains, remember. These rams, they're forgetting because they're kids, right? They're little baby rams, and they're forgetting and they're just kind of in the show now, and they're going along with the program with these people, and now here could they meet the jaguar. No, oh my goodness, there's a jaguar. So the jaguar, the rainbow jaguar, who refers to themselves as us, as they, and so they're talking about as they, because it's a twin jaguar, remember, and so they know that this is one of these rainbow jaguars. They're like, we don't come talk to you guys, we let the lion and you do what you do with the herds. We do our thing at the plateau. We don't often come over here, but we like to keep an eye on what's going on. And given what just happened over there, we knew there were going to be 3 rams come out. Or we were suspecting that the Goat King would give us a kind enough offering as more than 1 ram. We got to do this whole thing with the deer. And the jaguar says, I don't know how this is going to happen. I'm not going to dictate to anybody the way that this goes. Now that you guys know the story, now that you all know that we're running the operations of the deer here in this forest as best we can, given our lack of deer, and so now that the Goat King's given us more to work with than just 1 ram, we need to get sticks on, these rams got to do their thing to get their. Do these rams know? Have they had? No, they haven't been. They haven't eaten the bull cap yet, and they haven't talked to the old man. So these are relative. Given the cycle that happens every few days, these 2 rams are relatively uneducated about what's going on. But like the ram ever really gets educated, it just kind of goes through the show, and then it goes back into the sea, and then does its thing with his family, remembers or doesn't. Talk about what happens underneath the planet with the whole families upon the civilization. Remember, underneath this planet there's this civilization of rams and goat kings, and the goat people are sort of with the rams, and they sort of have this deal where the goat people protect and shelter the ram people, and the ram people, they have access to medical care and great technologies and all these things, but they're warned about the bull and to stay underneath the world because of the bulls, and they're told about scorpions, and they're told these stories, and they have television, right? So they're seeing media environment giving them a picture of what their world is like, so it keeps them safe. It keeps them underneath the planet like that. So thunderstorms are coming in again. They're getting closer up to the desert now. And the jaguar says, I don't know where we're going to go. We're just going to follow the tracks here and let the deer tell the story. Even though there's no deer here, the jaguars know the spirit of the deer better than anyone in the forest, right? Because they're just like the lions would protect the deer, and steward the deer. The jaguars would communicate with the deer and had a long, deep legend with the deer people before they had left, and that's why they knew that the scorpion had killed them, even though the people think that the lion made up the rumor about how the jaguar had actually been the one, but it wasn't. So the truth was out on that. So the jaguar says, I'm aware of this desert. We've crossed this desert many times. We don't tend to go up north any longer, even though we know that the deer people are up there, mainly because there's desert crustaceans on the other side of the desert, where there's this strange insectoid and crustacean band of mercenaries up at the north of the desert. And the jaguars say, pretty much there's this line of consent, a boundary between, the large cats tend to be the stewards, the rulers, and the legendary presences of story in the southern area, whereas in the northern area, the humans have that domain, right? There's not a lot of cats up there, so the humans are like, oh, okay, so we see what we're in now. We're in a story set where we don't have the full voice of the forest down here. The the jaguars, the wolves, the bats, and all these various insects. And the jaguar says, we have a very good sense of communication with the insects and with many varieties of flowers, bats, birds, these kind of things. Now, everyone pretty much knows the language of the woodpecker. And so jaguar says, y'all are looking for Unisari for your fun and games. I'm looking for Unisari because we need to get into coordination with the story about where we're going next with the forest and with the flight procedures. So the jaguar starts telling the people, like, look, you thought that flying disc was cool. Wait till you find out what we've got underneath the plateau, the operations we're really running. But the thing is, we need to get the deer to fly. In order to get the deer to fly, we have to get deer down here. Problem is, we've got this consensual segregation between the north that's being maintained by these insect crustacean mercenaries that are running along the north of the desert that are, basically they're protecting the more advanced scorpion people who have sort of like come into, orientation with the humans, where they're doing this advanced evolutionary program for these advanced scorpions, while meanwhile the wild stock of scorpions, they're hanging out in the desert. But they're kept north, and they're said, look, you're not wanted down south. They're not gonna, don't even go down there. And so you've got all of these different sorts of crustaceans, and then you've got these seawater canals that go along the desert. So it's this sort of tropical desert that hits up an ocean. So it's like these sort of like, and there's saltwater oasis patches up there too. And then you've got these fun tropical sea reef environments where, lagoons and this sort of thing. And then, but it's never turns into a swamp, and nor is it its own like sea. It's land that just has these series of canals and sort of stewarded coral reefs. Then these reefs are all maintained by the lobsters. So up there, the lobsters are the leaders of the mercenary groups, and then they have bands of crab people, and then you've got shellfish people who get carried around by the different. So you've got the shellfish people that are sort of like working, and they'll pass the shellfish. Hey man, we're going to exchange here, shellfish person. You're gonna grow on these guys now. So you've got these big old sea creatures that kind of walk around with the other creatures on them, and it's this sort of consensual community that walks around as one being. And the jaguar is telling these people about this, and these people are having their minds like, if you could tell us anything by this point, we've seen these flying, elephants and flying blue elephant, flying blue monkey. They've seen everything from before. They're like, all right, we're gonna go along with this. And so the jaguar says, I've got the hawks are scouting to see where Unisari went, and so we'll pick up there in a little bit.